If you have a toddler, you know that we need to offer them engaging, purposeful activities that keep their attention. And so today I want to share with you some of those things. I'm Emma. I'm a mom of identical twin boys. They are 18 months old, and we do Montessori in our home. I have a background in Montessori, and so I want to share some of the things that we've been doing recently that you can bring into your home for your toddler. So the first is a pouring activity, and I'm going to offer two suggestions. You can do pouring with water or pouring with a dry medium. I like to start with like a pasta or a dried bean. Those are great. When you offer pouring with water, you can set it up on a small little tray. Have two pitchers. I like these stainless steel ones. I'll link them in the description box below. And then you're going to fill one pitcher with as much water as you are comfortable with spilling. So don't fill it all the way up to the top. You can start with even just like a quarter or a third of it with water, and then have the other pitcher. Take time to model to your child how to pour from one pitcher to the other one, and have a sponge available for spills because they will happen. And we just have to remember that this is a learning process. Another really great toddler activity is a latch board. My boys are 18 months old and are just kind of starting to get familiar with different latches and fasteners, and a latch board is just a great way for them to practice those things, and they just love to open and close things. Another toddler activity is dot painting. I love dot painting because it is a great way to introduce some arts and crafts to your child without some of the mess. And then just set those limits as needed. My limits are that we dot paint on the paper, and then I'll show them how to continue dot painting on the paper if they're doing it on the table or any other surface. Also that they don't put it in their mouth. So make sure to introduce this after a stage that they're kind of done putting things in their mouths. And if they do that, I will just put the cap back on, and then we'll have to try it at another time. And it's okay to do that if you need to. Another fun one that my boys have been loving is scooping beans. And so you can set up two little bowls, fill one of them with, again, as many beans as you are comfortable picking up. They will probably explore with putting them outside of the dish. Maybe not if your toddler is a little less exploring than mine are, but definitely be aware of how much of this material you are giving them, and then offer a small scoop, and they can scoop from one dish to the other one. It's a really great way to build concentration. Again, key here, make sure to model to them how to do this before you give them the spoon to do it, because then you are setting the example of what this is supposed to look like. And when it's done in the way that is not appropriate, you can either redirect to how it is supposed to be done, or it might need to be put away for another day. And so this is one, especially at this younger age, like my boys at 18 months, I am always right by them while they're doing this activity so that it doesn't get out of hand. And especially with twins, sometimes one of them gets a really fun idea of how to do this more adventurously, and I don't want it to kind of ruin the activity for them and the purpose of this activity. This is different than just a sensory bin of beans and rice, which is another great activity, but that's not what this activity is. And so just really focusing on the scooping aspect of this. Threading is a great toddler activity. You could do threading in a few different ways. I set this activity up by just tying the string to a basket that we had, and then putting 3 beads in the basket and helping them to thread the beads onto the string. Another activity that I found, this was for when we were traveling, are these wooden threaders, and it has a nice like wooden needle attached to the string that is attached to the shape that has all of these holes, and they can thread it through those holes. And I find that this is something that they can do completely independently at this stage, and really enjoy this activity. So those are two kind of varieties of ways to do threading with a young toddler. This is probably my favorite and the most loved activity on our shelves these days, and that is open and close containers. And this is going to look different for everyone based on what you can find. So if you like to go thrift shopping, this is a great place to get little baskets and containers and pouches and things that have different fasteners. So we have a zipper. I got a food storage container that had like a snap-on lid. We used a box that had a little latch. You could use like a little coin purse. That's a great one. A small wallet. Any container that you can put a small little object in and then have them learn how to open and close the container. They will just love to do this. So I put small figurines in it, little books. You really can put anything you want in them. Change it up every couple of weeks. If they're losing interest, feel free to add new objects or new containers. I like to spend a lot of time with our toddlers in the kitchen on their learning tower. This is a great opportunity for them to see what's going on in the kitchen, be a participant for things going on. And I actually made a whole video about learning tower toddler activities and ways that they can kind of get involved using their learning tower in the kitchen. So I'll link that up in the cards here. Be sure to check it out if you have a learning tower, or even you could do a lot of these things at a small table and get your toddler involved in your work in the kitchen. Gross motor is super important for our young toddlers. They love to move, they love to be busy, and so offering them materials and toys that encourage this gross motor is great. So we love our pickler triangle, and I actually just got this new pickler triangle from Piccolio. I think that's how you pronounce it. So I'll leave a link in the description box below for you to check that out, as well as a link to a blog post where I go into all sorts of different pickler triangles that are on the market for you to kind of consider what features you're looking for and choose the best one for your family. Again, I'll put that in the description box below. There's a handful of discount codes in there. So if you've been wanting to get a pickler triangle and you have a busy young toddler and you think that would be a good fit in your home, be sure to check that out. Two things that we have brought into our home recently are these pegs on this board. And so these pegs are really fun. They stack on top of each other and they stack into the board. I chose to get the plastic board. There's also a foam board. I figured the plastic one might hold up better. And then this also will double as a threading activity down the road. And so there's a hole all the way through the pegs, so you could string these onto thread. They're not quite ready for that yet, but down the road they most certainly will love to do that. The other activity that they've been really enjoying are Magna Tiles, and these are just a great open-ended toy. They're great for all ages. I honestly enjoy playing with them, and it's just fun to build different things and see them stack and unstack and separate those magnetic tiles. If you're looking for a good fine motor activity for your toddler, try getting a collection of some pom-poms and an ice cube tray, and your toddler can put all of the pom-poms into the ice cube tray and then remove them. You could add a little bit more interest to this activity by having a cool container that fastens to allow your child to open that before doing the activity, but also know that that might require some more of your help to get the activity going, whereas if you just have them in an open container, they might more spontaneously choose this activity on their own. You could add a little more challenge to this by introducing a tongs to this work, and they could use a tongs to transfer. I, however, used the tongs in another activity with pom-poms where I'm having two bowls and some larger pom-poms and using the tongs to transfer them from one bowl to the other. And this, I thought it would be a little bit too challenging, but they surprised me and really enjoyed this activity. We recently made a few changes to our Montessori kitchen area and entryway area, and the small changes have made such a difference in the spontaneous activity that I see my boys doing. I added some command hooks to the wall and hung up a broom and child-size mop, and they take these off of the wall probably 5 to 10 times a day and start using them in our kitchen area. And they're even starting to figure out how to put them back on the wall. Some of the time, actually most of the time, that requires my prompting, but they're trying to figure it out. And it's just so neat to see how when we prepare our environment for activity and just activity that they can do, they love to do these things. And so mopping and sweeping have been two things that I have seen my boys be really interested in at this stage, and we can prepare our environment to make those activities available to them. Dusting is another activity that they can do. I found this mini duster at the dollar store, and it's just perfect. They can hang it up, take it off the hook, and use it to dust. All of these practical life activities are so purposeful and meaningful for a young toddler. Another activity for my toddlers has been having a snack. Very simple, but when we think about having a snack as an activity, it might change the way that we look at the process. And so we can turn this into more of a purposeful activity for our toddler by offering a snack that they have a task to do. So peeling a banana is one we do often. They could even then slice their banana with a small wooden slicer knife. I'll link the one that we like in the description box below. You could also have them peel like a clementine. That is one new thing that they've been able to do. You could either give them a small garbage can to throw the peels into, or another little dish that they can place them into. Again, this will require your practice and attention, but these are I like to call them snacktivities, where the snack is an activity for the child as well, and we can just offer this whole process to them. Another favorite and thing that has been happening pretty much every afternoon while I am making supper is Play-Doh. It's just a great sensory experience for them. My last toddler activity to share with you is more of a manufactured Montessori material, and this one is threading a disc onto a horizontal dowel. And so this is kind of crossing the midline, a little bit more challenging for a child. And it's this type of activity, this kind of close-ended activity, meaning that there is one purpose for this material that really encourages repetition, which these activities can look very simple and basic, and even somewhat boring when we look at them, but when they're developmentally appropriate and timed for where the child is at, they are some of the best activities and materials we could give our children, because they will just want to repeat and repeat and repeat them until they master them. And I was sitting in our living room, I showed this work to my son, and he sat and did this over and over and over for probably like 15 minutes. And then he was done and he moved on and he found something else, and he did come back to it even the next day. As a parent, it's the work to kind of see what our child is doing, use observation, and then prepare an environment with activities, materials, toys, and things that will really meet the needs that your child is showing you. And it might be some trial and error. You might try something and think, oh, maybe they're not quite ready for that, or put something out and it just is too easy and it's boring and they're not engaged with it. That's all really good information for you in knowing how to prepare your environment. Well, you guys, those are some of my toddler activities. I hope you get a chance to try some of them out with your little one. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hop on my email list if you want to stay connected to see what's coming next. I make one new video every week and share that on Friday. So I will see you next week for another video. Have a great day. Bye.